for the runabout divisions of the APBA National Watercross Tour. It has been 10 grueling rounds of competition that culminates today in one final double points round that will settle both a high points championship and a national championship.
It's a big tune-up for the World Finals. Most of the fast guys around the country come here, so it's good to kind of see where you're at for October for the big dance.
For 13-time overall world champion Chris McCluggage, a high points championship is all but sewn up in Pro-Am runabout stock, but capturing a national title would mean a lot for the first-year Yamaha rider.
You know, I have a lot of people helping me. My wife was one in particular, but Bill Chapin from R&D Racing just been a tremendous help the whole effort with the Yamaha FZR. We've done a lot of development and a lot of testing over the past weeks, and you know, I feel that the Yamaha is the one with Chris McCluggage on it that can beat him.
While over in the faster Pro-Am Runabout Open division, 16-time overall world champion Dustin Farthing has also sewn up a high points championship, but will have his hands full as the two-time reigning Pro Runabout world champion Craig Warner returns to try to spoil the party.
You know, it's race until the end. We don't really pay attention to points, the tours, X amount of races, and we race those X amount of races, and just try to do as good as we can every weekend to win.
This is where everybody's been, the people that go on tour are supposed to be at the top of their game when they get here, so we like to come here and see where we're at against them.
So a lot is on the line. It's the HydroTurf APBA Watercross Nationals presented by Mystic Lubricants coming up next right here from Nashville, Tennessee. Shores Water Park in Nashville, Tennessee. It's time now for the HydroTurf APBA Watercross Nationals presented by Mystic Lubricants. Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to another very exciting round of watercross racing. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ian Howard. Well, 10 rounds of racing in the books for all the runabout divisions. Just one round of racing to go right here from Nashville. And this round of racing, very important. Double points on the line for all these riders, and that'll determine their National Tour High Points Championships. We'll have action from all the professional runabout divisions, and I'll be joined by Dave Arnold for the call. It's all coming up next, right here from Nashville, Tennessee. And here's your point standings for Runabout 800 Open coming into this final double points round. Brian Baldwin ahead of the outlaw Eric Lagopoulos by 97 points, so he has virtually sewn up a Tour High Points Championship, but a lot still on the line with a national title up for grabs. And let's take a look now at highlights from Pro-Am Runabout 800 Open. A great field of boats in this final round of racing, and up front early on, no surprise to see Brian Baldwin from Denver, North Carolina. He would get the whole shot. A battle for 7th would ensue then behind Baldwin as Michael Fennis, known as the Predator for his headdress on his helmet, would try to hold off the 4-time defending High Points champion at 800 Open, that of Eric the Outlaw Lagopoulos. Later on in Moto number 1, Fennis would have his hands full with Frank Silva as the two would battle for the 5th position, and Silva would go airborne and go in the water, so Silva would fall all the way back into last place. Take a look at it on replay once again. Silva just trying to work outside in and get past Michael Fennis for that 5th spot. Would go in the water, he would be okay, but he would be bounced back into last place. Meanwhile, Eric the Outlaw Lagopoulos, who has 2 overall wins on the season, would settle into the 4th position, but not have a chance for the win here in Moto 1. As Brian Baldwin would go the distance after getting the whole shot, he would record the Moto 1 win and be in good shape to capture his 2nd consecutive national championship here from Nashville, Tennessee. So was Baldwin your Moto 1 winner? Cheney was 2nd, with Fennis finishing on the podium back in 3rd place. So on the heels of Brian Baldwin winning the opening moto and having a great shot at winning a 2nd consecutive national championship, Baldwin would once again check out and get the whole shot, but the 4-time defending High Points champion Eric the Outlaw Lagopoulos from Sarasota, Florida, try to go out with a bang in this race. He would hang close behind in 2nd place. Baldwin would extend his lead as Eric the Outlaw Lagopoulos would slide further back into 2nd place and be challenged by Craig Ingram from Norman, Oklahoma. Ingram finished 5th back in Moto number 1, a true Sooner from the state of Oklahoma, and that would allow the man from Denver, North Carolina, Brian Baldwin, to capture his 2nd consecutive national championship as he would go wire to wire once again at Pro-Am Runabout 800 Open. And let's now hear from a very very happy national champion. That's Brian Baldwin.
8 out of 11 wins this season on that ski is pretty impressive. You know, and it's just been, to tell you the truth, I haven't changed the spark plug since the very first race in Parker, Arizona. And I wasn't going to tell anybody until it was said and done. So,
No, it's tough. I've had that number 1 plate on my boat for many years now, and hats off to Brian Baldwin. He had a great season. He won a lot of races, and it's going to give me some motivation again to get out there and step up my program and try to go win this thing back next year.
And when we come back, Pro-Am Runabout Stock will be on the water, so stay with us for more of the HydroTurf APBA Watercross Nationals presented by Mystic Lubricants right here from Nashville, Tennessee. Coverage of the APBA Watercross Nationals from Nashville, Tennessee has been made possible by HydroTurf, by Yamaha, by Sea-Doo, and by Mystic Lubricants. Welcome back to Nashville, Tennessee, and coverage of the APBA Watercross Nationals. Ian Howard, Dave Arnold along with you on an overcast day as we're in Nashville Shores, just east of downtown Nashville, Tennessee. And up next, Moto number 2 for Pro-Am Runabout Stock. But first, let's visit with Bill the Hurricane Haig with this HydroTurf Tech Tip.
Over the last few years, the technology has been changing on the APBA National Watercross Tour. The old technology of carbureted 2-strokes is being replaced by fuel-injected 4-strokes. As you watch the starts, you can tell what a rider's actually on. For the 2-strokes, you'll see them lift the tail of the ski out of the water so that they can blow out any excess fuel from the motors or excess water out of the exhaust systems. For the 4-strokes, there's no need to do this. The electronic fuel injection compensates for everything, so they leave the skis in the water. So watch for this as you see what your favorite rider's on coming off the line here on the APBA National Watercross Tour.
And here's your Pro-Am Runabout Stock point standings coming into this final double points round. Chris McCluggage on top by 95 points over Troy Snyder, who's back in second. And our results from Moto 1, Big Mac Chris McCluggage got the leg up in his quest for a national title by winning the opening moto. Ryan Hartwick was second with Troy Snyder back in third. Ready now for Moto number 2 for Pro-Am Runabout Stock as we're off racing. And Dave, Chris McCluggage trying to win a national championship aboard his Yamaha after winning the opening moto, and he's also trying to sew up a high points championship, but it doesn't look like Big Mac gets a great start as we go on board with the man they call Flying Brian Smith from Dallas, Texas. Dave, he takes us to the front straightaway.
Yeah, Brian definitely getting caught back in that traffic also. It's a little rough, but he did get out in front of McCluggage on this one, and I think that's what he wants to get out there and prove. Brian, a host of Liquid Speed Radio, which is a radio on the internet, talks about watercraft racing, what's going on in the world of personal watercraft, and it's really great. He's a racer and he loves it, and also he owns R5 Watercross. He's a local promoter out of Dallas, Texas.
So Flying Brian Smith trying to make a mark here in the second moto. Didn't have a great start back in Moto number 1 as he's battling to stay ahead. Big Chris McCluggage, Dave, and talk about Chris McCluggage after winning that opening moto all the way back in 6th position here in Moto number 2. So not the start that the Big Mac Attack wanted as he tries to win a national championship.
Yeah, and you get that FCR back in that rough water back there. You can see him struggling, but you can see it really cut through the water. But there's a boat that's not known for rough water, the Sea-Doo, and it is really turning right now. I can tell you, Kawasaki's and Yamaha usually be favored in these conditions, but that Sea-Doo jumps out front for the smooth water. It's definitely the fastest boat.
So Big Mac down the front straightaway. We focus in on him because he's really been the story of the season. Tim Neff has checked out and got the whole shot, but Chris McCluggage, after winning the opening moto, closing in on a high points championship. So regardless of how he finishes here in Moto 2, he'll still sew up the national high points title, but he desperately wants to get Yamaha a national championship as well as we go on board again with Flying Brian Smith from Dallas, Texas.
We'll see on board with Brian how rough it is right now, sitting, I believe, 5th or 6th position, I'm not sure. It looks like he's going to choose to go to the inside split. McCluggage goes to the outside. McCluggage trying to chip away, get by him out there. These guys know each other pretty well, and I'm sure Brian's just saying, hey, I got Mac behind me. Pretty stoked, but I don't predict that happening very long.
And Chris McCluggage trying to make a move on Flying Brian Smith for that 5th position on the race course. And earlier, after he won the opening moto, Chris McCluggage had a lot of people to thank as he's closing in on a national high points title.
Well, yeah, I mean, I owe it all to a company like Yamaha. It's the reliability. I mean, all the other boats out there weren't Yamahas, and a lot of them, top guys, they broke.
So Big Mac Chris McCluggage in that 6th spot, Dave. He desperately wants to win a national title, not only for himself, but also for Yamaha. He's already sewn up a national high points title. And earlier, you had a question, Dave. You thought maybe he missed the buoy trying to make a move on Brian Smith.
Yeah, it looked like he went right over the top of that, and the buoy was more to the outside of the boat. It should have been on the inside. It should have been to his left to really make it clear. Luckily for him, we don't make those calls and say that's one of the questionable ones. But, you know, we'll let them make that decision.
So Chris McCluggage struggling here in Moto number 2. Can Timothy Neff pull out the upset? Stay with us to find out. It's the HydroTurf APBA Watercross Nationals presented by Mystic Lubricants here from Nashville, Tennessee.